At my sister's wedding, my father raised his glass and said, loud enough to rattle the chandeliers, "Some children make you proud, others just occupy space." Polite laughter tinkled like dropped cutlery. My mother's smile didn't move. And me? Every nerve went bright, like a wire stripped live, as I realized I'd been erased in front of my own people. I kept my face steady. "Great timing," I said. "I just signed for a place 2 states away. Consider your space reclaimed." The laughter died before the echo did. I set my champagne down untouched, pushed back my chair, and stepped out of their perfect picture. That was the toast to their control. It was also the moment I started plotting my exit. Back in the hallway, the hotel smelled like lilies and spilled fizz. My dress still held both scents. I replayed my father's line, the tiny laughs that followed, the way my mother's lips held formation like soldiers under inspection. In our family, there were always rules. I just hadn't realized humiliation was one of them. Before I tell you how I left them speechless for good, tell me where you're listening from, so I know I'm not talking into a void. When you've heard the rest, tell me what you would have done if your own people tried to shrink you down to nothing. The night after, I didn't sleep. I lay in the hotel dark and counted the seconds between the air conditioner's clicks. By morning, I knew one thing with the certainty of sunrise. If I stayed in their orbit, I'd learn to apologize for breathing. I wasn't going to let that become my life. I drove back to Indiana the next afternoon, the highway unspooling I finally meant to overwrite. The house hadn't changed. Gray shutters, shaved lawn, the kitchen light eternally on. Inside, my father sat at the dining table with his laptop open, numbers bleaching his glasses. He didn't look up. "Quite an exit," he said, tone clinical, like assessing a dented asset. My mother poured coffee, smile fixed. "Your father's just worried. You embarrassed yourself, that's all." I took my old room, trophies still lined like obedient soldiers. I expected fury to pass. Instead, clarity arrived, cool and sharp. If I stayed, they'd edit the scene until I apologized for the punchline he delivered. So the next morning, I opened my laptop and built a spreadsheet. Title: Oxygen. Columns for rent, deposit, flight, first month alone, a list to sell, camera, dresses, the stack of books I loved enough to leave behind. 2 weeks slid by the way our family manages conflict. Starve it of air. The group chat filled with my sister's honeymoon photos, sunlit coasts, glasses clinking, captions like, "Our bright girl living her dream." I tapped a polite heart and returned to my ritual. Mornings, work. Afternoons, job boards in Portland, Denver, Flagstaff. Evenings, marketplace sales, feeding the oxygen account. Each deposit felt like a lungful. One night my father called, voice falsely gentle. "Don't be dramatic. Family is family." I almost laughed. "I've been consistent, you just noticed." After we hung up, I made a folder named Plans and filled it with postings and routes out. Then my sister called, voice shaking. "He's gone. I can't move back there alone." I took a breath, felt the spreadsheet steady me, and said, "Pack what matters. I'm coming." By sunset, we'd stacked her boxes by the door, the wedding photo face down. She hugged me, brief, astonished, and whispered, "Don't let them pull you back." I drove home with oxygen ticking in my head. An interview invite in my inbox glowed. 2 days later came the summons. Dinner at 6. The table was staged for forgiveness nobody meant. My father scrolled his phone. My mother poured wine she never drinks. My sister sat taut. "Your cousin says you're applying out west," he said. "We worry you're running." I said, "Maybe I'm running toward." He called it rebellion. I named it survival. The room held its breath. I said the toast wasn't a joke, it was a verdict, that I'd learned to buy affectionate interest, that I was finished paying. His face flickered, then set. "We gave you everything." "No," I said. "You priced love and called the invoice virtue." My sister's fork clicked. My mother's smile cracked. "Watch your tone," he warned. "That," I said, "is what you've guarded." I stood. "This isn't dinner, it's theater. I'm done being scenery." No one stopped me. At home, I packed like a metronome. Jeans, notebooks, the leather folder, the USB. What didn't fit could stay. Before dawn, I called a cab and left the keys on the counter. The airport smelled like coffee and polish. When boarding for Portland was called, my lungs remembered. Rain met me at arrival. A week later, the offer became real. My first paycheck hit oxygen like breath returning. I rented a place with creaking floors. One night my sister called. I took a job in Chicago. I raised a glass. Here's to taking up space, I said, and the room agreed.